Welcome home to St. Anne's. We want you to know that you're welcome to join us at 10 a.m. on Sundays. Please be sure to hit subscribe to receive our sermons. We can't wait to meet you. Anyone else confused by the gospel today? Good. Good. That's the point. And I want us to talk about that a little bit because we like to have answers. We desperately want to have answers. And we as the church get sucked into this temptation, which I truly believe to be a sin, of answers. There are answers and we have them, and if you come to us, we will tell you the answers. By the way, we're a tax-free organization, so if you write your check to whomever, it's write-off. You ever notice this? We have all the answers. And if we don't have the answers, you and I, sometimes we make them up. I don't know how people parented before Google. I really, truly do not know how you guys did it. Either there was a lot of really false facts that my generation learned, or I don't know. I literally do not know. You know how much time I spend like, Siri, how are windmills made? Or this morning's question, which is your favorite toe? Do you have a favorite toe? I don't have a favorite toe. Yeah, I know. So these are kind of the things that we're asked, and right? And so we, as people who know it all, we look it up. If we can't look it up, we make it up, right? But we have this obsession with knowing answers. And that's a problem. That's a big problem. And sometimes people will say, what is the Episcopal Church's stance on blah, 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 blah? And I'll say, we don't have one. How do I become a member of an Episcopal Church? You don't. That's frustrating, right? What does God mean when he says blah, 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 in whatever verse, blah, 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 blah? Well, I don't know. What do you think? You should see people. We kind of freak out when we don't have answers, right? And I love Nicodemus for this reason. Nicodemus doesn't understand, and he wants to. Now, he is the educated of the educated. He is one of the learned people in the church at that time. So he sees these things going on, right? He sees what Jesus is up to and these things happening, and it doesn't match with what he knows or what he preaches or what he's been trained in. And he doesn't know what to do with that. But what he does know is that if other people find out he has questions about it, he's going to be in big trouble. So he does what any normal person would do. He sneaks around, right? He deletes his Google search. So if you have teenagers, you know what that means. Yeah, I work in a middle school. I know all about deleting your Google search. Okay, so he goes in the middle of the night to find Jesus, right? Because he wants answers. He wants to understand. And I think that's what makes Nicodemus a saint. He doesn't understand. He knows that he doesn't understand. He doesn't make it up. He goes and he tries to find out. He is comfortable and yet uncomfortable in his wonderings. And guys, that's where we should be. That's exactly where you and I are called to be. To wonder, to be honest and okay with the wondering, and yet uncomfortable enough to want to seek answers, to want to seek to understand. And I guess saying answers is the wrong word. I don't mean answers. I mean to seek to understand, to seek a further understanding. And that's what I love about Nicodemus, is that that's what he does. And I don't think Jesus is terribly helpful either. You know, Nicodemus thinks away and he's like, well, that didn't help. But he goes deeper into his wondering because he comes face to face with the divine and he wonders some more. He finds comfort in that. He finds more questions, and that's where you and I are called to go deeper into things, to maybe end up with a few more questions, but to understand at a deeper level. And that's what faith is all about. It's not about having answers. It's about stripping that stuff away until we can safely go into a place and wonder more. We're not going to come out with answers. We might come out with more questions, but we'll come out with a deeper understanding. And that's where your vestry and I went yesterday, or that's where we started to go yesterday. Your vestry and I had our vestry retreat yesterday. And it's a really important time for our vestry to be retreating because, as you may or may not have heard, as of Easter morning, we will be debt-free. For the first time in this church's history, we will not have debt. I know. And one of the things that I brought up to the vestry, and they were like, not sure I can go there with you, Meg, but I want us to start to explore it a bit more, is that with any change comes loss. And as we seek to come together and figure out where we're going, there's going to be some confusion. There's going to be some questions. And already there are some questions, and already there's this search for answers, right? Well, this is what we're going to do. This is what it's going to look like. Here's this, here's that. There are no answers. And we as a church family have to be willing to go into a place where there are no answers, to be okay with the wondering and the questions. And I know that can be a scary place to be. So today I want us to open it up a little bit. So in your bulletins, you should have a bright pink, because why wouldn't I give you a bright pink slip of paper? Of course I would do that. And these are some of the questions that I asked the vestry yesterday. And I want us to explore them because one of the most important times in Lent, and I ask you to do this for yourself because I think this is so sacred and important to do every Lent, but I ask us to do it as a church family to do. Who are we? When we strip all this stuff away, who are we really, truly? And one of the questions I asked the vestry and I ask you is, what are the things that you couldn't stand losing? What are the things that you're like, this is who I really, truly am? And I ask that about the church too, but I ask it about us as individuals. Who am I really, truly? And I think that's an important question because we live in a world where stuff gets layered and layered and layered on us, right? And eventually it starts to feel like that's part of our identity. I'm trying to think of, I can do it as the church, but I can't do it for you as an individual. But as a church, our identity for so long has been poverty, right? Like, that is like who we are. We have spent so much time worrying about debt that starts to begin to feel like our identity. And there are things that come with that. Layers of fear and worry and safety and clinging that come with that. But those aren't who we truly are. And there are things that I think I take on because I live in a secular world. And sometimes I have to look at that again because I live in a world that has sexism in it. I live in a world where, I know, shocking, right? It's crazy. I live in a world where there are a lot of assumptions made about me. Crazy, right? I live in a world where I live in the suburbs. There are a lot of things that come with that. I live in a world where I'm an Episcopal priest. There are a lot of assumptions that come with that. And do I take some of those on? Do I accept them? And as time goes on and on and on, do I believe that that's part of my identity? Is that really truly who I am at my very core? Am I just a 35-year-old suburban white woman who's married to a businessman who lives in the suburbs and is a school counselor and raises her kids? No, that's not who I am. So when I take all those layers away, when I shed all of that stuff, who am I really, truly? Who could I not let go of? And I want us to think about that. I want you to think about that as an individual. And I want us to think about that as a church. Who are we really, really, truly? Secondly, what are the things that we want to shed? What are the things that we want to let go of? There are certainly things in my personal life that I'm like, I need to let go of that. And at Lent, I need to reflect on that. What are the things that I've been carrying around that aren't really part of who I am, and sometimes they get in the way of who I should be? Are we doing that as a church? The short answer is yes. I'll give you a hint. The short answer is yes. We all do it because we carry all that stuff with us all the time, all that stuff that we've accepted, and all that stuff that gets in the way. What is that? What do you think it is for you? And what do you think it is for us as a church family? We're carrying things around. What do we need to let go of? And third, and this is, I think, the most exciting one. Where do we want to go? What is your dream? If all of that stuff is stripped away, all those things that are barriers stripped away, what is your dream? What are the things that you wish for? Without any barriers, without any permission, any of that. What do we dream for? Because I really, truly believe that in our dreams and in our passions lie God. I really, truly believe that again and again. And we logic ourselves out of that, don't we? We think about all those barriers that I already asked you about, all the things that people assume about us, things that we've accepted. Well, you can't do that because you're a 35-year-old white chick. You can't do that. You can't do that. You don't have time. You have kids, and you have a mortgage, and you have all these other things. You can't do that. What are the things that we haven't done because we believed all this stuff that we've been carrying around with us? Tell me what that is. Help me understand what that is. So that's the third one. I'm just thinking about it as individuals, and I really want us to think about it as a church family. Please write those down because it's important to me to understand what's going on for you, because I do understand that for every single person right now, this is going to be a very personal and very individual thing. It's very personal and individual for me. For the first time in my life as a clergy, I'm not worried about budgets. For the first time, and I'm not kidding, you would not think I've been ordained for going on 11 years. I've been ordained for 11 years. I've been running a church for 11 years. 11 years of my life. I've never not been afraid.
I've been Episcopalian for 8 years.
Have you ever not been afraid?
Never saw this would have ever happened.
No. I think for many of us, I have never not been worried. Ever. I either worry about my parish, or I'm worried about getting paid. I'm worried about something, right? I'm worried about the diocese coming knocking. I took care of that worry a long time ago. I just don't answer. Or when I do answer, they don't like my answer. It's fine. This is going out on the internet, but they already know. So it's fine. Who are we when we don't have fear and worry? Are we free to dream? Are we free to be the people that God has called us to be? And that's what I ask us to do. I ask to do it as a church family. I ask you to let me know, let me in on that. Because you don't have to tell me who this is from. So is there something that you're afraid of? What are you afraid of? What are you afraid of? What are you afraid you're going to lose? What are you afraid we're going to gain? Are there things that we're going to gain that you're afraid of? So it can be anonymous. You don't have to tell me who it's from, or you can put your name on it. I don't care. Take your time. There's this copy. If you want to continue to work on this and you want to think more about it, you want to have conversations with your brothers and sisters here in the church, absolutely do so. There are plenty more of them out there. We'll kind of do what we did with the love notes. We did love notes last year. Is that the year that I made you do that, where you wanted to kill me? What was the thing that you wanted to kill me for last year? It was the love notes. I know there's always something. There's always something you're like, God, Mac. I made the vestry paint yesterday. I thought they were going to kill me. I'm still alive, by the way. So what we did with that is we did a sermon piece of it, and we did the first round of them. But then it was out there for quite a while afterwards to continue to do that. And I ask that as I go on sabbatical, we all go on sabbatical. That we do what Nicodemus does. That we are comfortable in our questions. We don't absolutely have to make up answers. That we're willing to rest and be okay in this time of questions. To really figure out who we are without all that extra baggage. All that extra stuff. And then that we do this as a family. We've always done everything as a family. This too needs to be done as a family. So I ask you to reflect on that. Get those back to me. Do you guys want like a couple minutes to think about it right now? While I sit up there and stare at you awkwardly? I mean, I'm happy to sit up there and stare at you awkwardly if that would help. I don't need them today. I would love to have some today for me to flip through, like, because I have so many questions about where you guys are in all of this. So if you want to turn it in today, absolutely, please do. If you want to think about it some more, absolutely, please do. If you turn this one in and you're like, ooh, I thought some more stuff, feel free. Give us some more stuff. But help me understand where all of us are in this. And we're going to do it together. But here's the difference between us and Nicodemus. We're not going to sneak around in the dark and hide. We're going to go seek God in God's face, and we're going to do it in the bright sunlight. Oh, I'm so grateful.
We want you to know that you're welcome to join us at 10 a.m. on Sundays. Please be sure to hit subscribe to receive our sermons.
Please stand together and
We
say the
can't
rest of
wait
the
to
name.
meet you.